we also, now we shot the second 3D movie as well, and that's even twice harder, but still it's harder it is, more fun it is actually. It's a bigger challenge. Less people possess this knowledge, and that's way more unique, and yeah, it's also the reward in the end is bigger. So.
Very good. I'm just looking at the clock, and I'm wondering whether we should just take a few questions.
Sure.
If anything we haven't covered. We kind of ranged around a bit, but I wonder if there's anyone like to ask us anything.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you consider yourself a photographer or a 3D photographer?
Well, I'm a photographer that knows how to use 3D technology,
Okay.
let's say, but yeah, I'm a photographer, as I said, when I was training now for 3 months and I didn't do even one 3D photography since my partner Peter, when we went to China, he always had this, 2 small cameras glued together, and each photo he did was 3D photo. And then sometimes he said, no, this one wouldn't look good, it wouldn't look good in 3D. And I said, come on, make it anyway, we can use only, one photo from one camera, it's going to be a nice photo. And he was like, I'm not sure. So he's a proper 3D photographer that, lives for 3D photography, but as I said, I don't want to limit myself only to 3D, but it's a nice thing to be in right now.
When you started your degree course at London College of Fashion, had you decided you wanted to do 3D from day one, or was it something that developed as you went through the course? How did you get to the point of deciding you wanted to make that your degree show?
Yeah, actually, this 3D idea came like on the middle of the semester, the last one, since I already have quite some other ideas, and it came later. And I also had quite a big fight about it, because one of the professor, Itai, he was like really against it. He said, no, it's a gimmick, you shouldn't do it, you shoot on film, so on and so on. But I said, no, I see this, it's a good thing, I really trust it, I want to put a lot of effort into it, and I see it's an opportunity for the future. And I'm really glad that I didn't listen to him. I really respect his opinion. I was really bothered about him not liking it, but on the end it turned out as a good choice, and he also liked it on the end, and I got a nice grade, and so on and so on. So it was.
But I think that's an important point, you see. It isn't about what we like, because the whole thing about academic judgment is a sense of objectivity, what I call correct distance. And my view of it, from the very beginning when I heard you were going to do it, was if you have the commitment to carry it out, this will test you.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be for the faint-hearted, and I think that you have to have that trust, because you came as a more mature student with a definite sense of purpose. You could be, I think, given that opportunity, and ultimately you've got to carry it off. We can't do it for you. And a lot of people might have stumbled after only doing a few, or just doing a test. They'd be like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, or if I do it, I'll do it like you've done some under the West Way. That's the easy bit, This stuff in more remote locations is, for me, much tougher. And I think that what we try and do, as you well know, is to give people a sense of that direction, and try and stand back sometimes and let them have that space to move, because you have to, treat it like an experimental environment, a place where you can make mistakes. It's safe to fail. We provide that safety net. Whereas on a commercial job, you wouldn't have that. So now you've got this body of work, which is actually, I felt as soon as I saw it, and I told you this last year, that it would take you somewhere that you wouldn't go without it. Because it is about a marker, it's about differentiation. And in an oversaturated marketplace, as Richard and Barry know from their experience of being out there as photographers over a long period of time, it's got much more globally, rather than kind of locally to London and New York, Paris and other big conurbations. It's got much more intense, and everybody thinks they're an image maker. So almost going back to film, which is what you were saying, was a suggestion for you. that's okay if it works. But if what you're trying to do is go in another direction, we need to be able to embrace that. And I think that's really great that you did it. I think you can be very proud of that. And it takes determination and it takes a lot of effort. And some people just, they haven't got that commitment to that kind of element of it. They've got the commitment to the fashion, they've got the commitment to some other aesthetic, but they wouldn't want to embrace this because I think it's labour intensive, it's resource heavy, it hoovers up huge amounts of time, and without that dedication you can't pull it off. And I think that's what probably a lot of people don't understand fully. So, hopefully after seeing your work and listening to this interview, they will understand that better. And I think that's why our course can embrace that and not say, don't do it, but say, okay, we'll see if you can do it, see if you can come up with it, because you're soon going to find out whether it's too difficult, any more than saying, don't use 10/8 Polaroids because you can't buy it anymore, but don't use a 10/8 because it's expensive, you can afford it, you've got the dedication, do it. Because everyone wants to use a Canon 5D. Everyone, wants to use the industry standard tools. But I think in a sense of the market being overcrowded, it's very important sometimes to see if you can go past the gimmick threshold, which is what you've done. You've broken through that. I think people need to understand that's very important. There is a barrier there, like you say, to do with how people see it in magazines. They see it by Mazal or whoever, and they think, I'm not sure about it. Whereas if you can properly apply it, and going back to the question that was asked about whether you're a 3D photographer or a photographer, I'd say I'd characterise you as someone who's dedicated to making images because I know a lot about your work, and that this is one element, and it's one string to your bow, and that you can actually use it to get attention. And also sometimes you'll be asked to apply it, which is really great for you.
Okay.
You were first.
This kind of relates to what you said. But going back to, you had mentioned earlier that 3D technology has been around for a while, and that 3D photography has been featured in fashion magazines. But yet, in the fine art world and in the gallery space, as far as I can think back in my experience, I haven't seen much of 3D photography. So my question is, do you kind of feel like you're a pioneer of fine art 3D photography?
I wouldn't say that.
Well, do you see much? Have you seen much of other people doing it, and do you kind of feel like this is kind of groundbreaking in a way?
Well, there were two series on this year's Venice Biennale, as I heard later, that they were in 3D. But one was like architecture and one was photo, like air, how do you say, from the airplane, aerial shots, yeah. So the thing is, it's 3D technology is about 170 years old, so it's pretty old, but still now it's complete rebirth of it, so it's really easy to put all these superlatives like the biggest, the best, the first. But actually, you have to do something good that you can afford putting this in front of, the title, because there was lots of stuff already done, but you have to come up with a good idea and a good concept that, you can break with it later.